What happens when a witness walks into the Madlanga Commission with confidence, only to face questions that put his own statements under pressure? Fadiel Adams faced intense questioning from Justice Madlanga and the commissioners over contradictions in his testimony, claims that police dockets had gone missing, and allegations surrounding cell phone interception equipment. But just when the pressure seemed to be mounting, Adams came forward with serious allegations of his own. Is Adams a fearless whistleblower, or is his testimony beginning to raise more questions than answers? Watch what happened, and you decide.
11 August 2026. You do not give us that detail. You just say, I was not aware at all of these emails until only 3 months back. You mention nothing about a reminder in April of 2026 that an email had been sent to you in October 2026, or the Rule 3 notice had been sent to you in October 2025. You say nothing about that. You just give us the impression that your mind was a complete, clean slate until only about 3 months ago. You knew nothing at all about the Rule 3 notice of October 2025. Do you want to comment on that?
Chairperson, if that's the impression that I'm giving, then I do apologize for that. And I know this commission is having a hard time understanding this, and then that's okay. I would probably too if I was sitting on that side. I get hundreds of emails a week, and I struggle to get into the emails most of the time. So just allow me to finish, please, Chairperson. So there are emails. No, I see you shaking your head.
No, I did not shake my head. I just moved.
Oh, sorry.
And you can't control me not to move.
No, Chairperson. So what I'm saying, Chairperson, this is actually worse than an oversight on my part. It is. But I did not intend to mislead you. I did not. And I understand how bad it looks. And I even understand if you are sitting there, Commissioner Kumalo, thinking that I'm being disrespectful to this commission. But I promise you, Chairperson, as my mother is watching, that definitely was not the case.
Now, there is only one so-called Madlanga commission. And you say you receive a lot of emails, but emails that you receive from the commission are only from the commission. And do you take the commission seriously?
Chairperson,
yes.
I am here. I arrived a day early at my own expense, twice. I take this commission very seriously. I'm very respectful of this commission. Forget what I say on social media. That's me acting like a fool half the time. But when I address you, I want you to understand something. You're the only man besides my father who's ever given me a beating. That's how much respect I have for this commission.
Now, thank you. not about me chastising you, no. But thank you for saying you take the commission seriously. Now, if you do, you receive an email in October 2025 telling you about the Rule 3 notice. You respond to it 11 days later. I will tell you now that it is hard to believe that you would forget about that communication. That's the only communication you got from the commission until April 2026. It is hard for me to believe that you would forget about that communication from this one, the only so-called Madlanga commission. If you say you take the commission seriously, I find it hard to believe that you forget about that communication. And this is not mundane communication. It's communication that contains a formal document, a Rule 3 notice that requires of you to do certain things. Formal communication, and you respond to it. It's just difficult for me to understand how you could ever forget about maybe you don't get me. I'm engaging you on a fact that comes out of your mouth when you are being interviewed on TV after your appearance here. I'm not asking you about whether you in fact do have proof lying somewhere. For example, what you may have said at the ad hoc committee, for example, what technicians may say, if they were to be called. I'm not saying they will be. I am asking you about what you said after your appearance here. So this proof, and you made this statement quite forcefully and with a lot of confidence. I have proof. I have provided that proof to the media. Proof of what? Proof of your allegation that from October 2025 until only about 3 months ago, your laptop was malfunctioning. So the proof that you alleged to have provided to the media was this one instance of you using another member's laptop. That's all the so-called proof that you provided to the media.
If I may, Chairperson?
Yes.
The allegation, as I understood it, was I had made up the excuse that my laptop malfunctions. The proof I put forward was, it's not the first time that I said it. It's not the first time I've said it publicly. This is not something I made up for Madlanga. That is the context of the Chairperson.
I'm talking about providing. Were you not talking about providing something physical to the media? When you are speaking there on that video clip and you say, I've provided proof, surely you mean you've given something physical to the media?
Yes, Chairperson.
And I'm going back to my question. So that physical thing that you gave to the media was this one instance?
This once, Chairperson.
Of you having used another member's laptop?
Yes, Chairperson.
That's all. And that's this proof that you have?
Yes, Chairperson.
And how does that prove that from October of 2025 until 3 months ago, your laptop was malfunctioning?
Chairperson, my laptop has been malfunctioning. There's nothing I personally can do about it. And I think that's all that I can't elaborate any further.
Unfortunately, that's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, how does that one instance of you using someone else's laptop prove that from October, make of what you said then? You lied, basically, when you said you have proof in the context of October 2025 until 3 months ago. In that interview, you basically told a lie when you said you had proof.
Chairperson, it was in the context of, I've been lying that there's something wrong with my laptop. That's the context that I provided, the little bit of proof that I had that it wasn't the first time and it wasn't the last time either. That's the context, Chairperson.
You already accepted that it was not proof, that one instance was not proof of the malfunction of your laptop from October 2025 until 3 months ago in 20, you've accepted that. It's on that basis that I suggest to you that when you told the nation that you actually have proof in the context of what was at issue, which is October 2025 until 3 months ago, when you told the nation that you actually had proof of the malfunction over that period, this being the context, you were untruthful.
Chairperson, I was not. I was not. I cannot accept that.
Where's the truth in there?
So that's what I'm trying to find out. You've reported it now to Mr. Cameron. There's something in it that must say to you that it must be criminally investigated. So that's the route that you decide to take. That's what you say. Within 2 days of receiving that information.
Yes, Advocate.
Okay. Or actually within a day, because you speak to General Lincoln.
I spoke to General Lincoln the same evening.
And General Lincoln is the general that has passed away?
Yeah, sadly passed away. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's no longer here.
So you then go and you open up 3 cases?
Yes, ma'am.
At Grand Central?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And those cases are opened on the 29th of October, 2024?
Yes, according to the records on the 29th. If you had asked me the question without the docket in front of me, I wouldn't be able to recall the date, but yes, on the 29th.
Okay, and then you say at paragraph, still on page 48 of your statement, you say that at 387, after not receiving a satisfactory response from the Western Cape Police and on the advice of late General Andre Lincoln, former head of the anti-gang unit whom I regularly consulted on policing matters, I proceeded to Johannesburg to open cases concerning the same matters in another province. Now, after not receiving a satisfactory response, what was the response, firstly?
I called Lieutenant General Patikile, and I also emailed then Minister Sendum Kuno. And I told them my dockets have gone missing.
No, you're jumping the gun in terms of the chronology. Don't you send the email to the minister on the 1st of November only?
Yes.
Yes, but you open up the Johannesburg cases at the end of October, the 31st of October, 2024.
Yes.
So you couldn't have spoken to the minister before.
I sent 2 emails to the minister, ma'am, 10 days apart.
Yes.
If you'll allow me just to check the dates,
I can tell you the dates.
Okay,
the
please.
1st of November, that's the first one. So
Yes.
we don't even need to go to the second one yet.
So what was the question then?
I asked you what was the response that you got at 387 so that we can find out why you found it not to be satisfactory, such that you went then to go get advice from General Lincoln, who says to you, go open it up in another province.
Yes.
So the response. So now remember, we're on the 29th of October when you open the cases.
Yes, ma'am.
You receive a response that you're not happy with.
Yes, ma'am.
When do you receive that response?
I would not be able to tell you if it was the 30th or if it was the morning of the 1st. But I called. No. Yes, ma'am.
It's got there 2024, 10, 29, October 2024 at 2:30.
Yes, ma'am.
It speaks about the statement of the complainant, and then it says modus operandi, talks about your allegations. Then at 8 o'clock, 8:05, charge of nepotism that is reflecting on the docket does not reflect on the ICDMS, which means that the docket cannot be registered. After telephonic conversation with Captain Savi, I think investigating officer, he suggested to change the charge to defeating the ends of justice for the docket to be registered. You see that? So that's at 8 o'clock in the evening.
I see that, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you saying between 2:30 and 8 o'clock, you were told that the docket was missing.
It was definitely before 8 o'clock, ma'am.
Okay. But you can see here that the docket was still being registered. They were saying after telephonic conversation, the investigating officer suggested to change the charge to defeating the ends of justice for the docket to be registered.
I see that. I can't explain this. I think the best person to explain when the docket went missing would be Peter Jacobs, General Peter Jacobs. I understand what you're saying 100%, that at 8:05 they were still working on the docket. That is what this says, and I mean it's an official document. The fact of the matter is it was definitely before 8 o'clock. I'm not going to tell you it was 9 o'clock. It was definitely before 8 o'clock.
No, but he's not, General Jacobs can't be the best person to explain that. It would have to be General Lincoln who told you that the dockets had gone missing. What would General Jacobs have to do with this?
General Jacobs is the one that they found the dockets within Pretoria. That's why I'm saying General Lincoln is not here. So the next best person to speak on the issue would be General Jacobs. I certainly can't speak on this because I wasn't here, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm telling you that my phone call with General Lincoln was late afternoon to early evening. It was definitely before 8 o'clock. That I can tell you.
And do you then call the police station to find out whether your docket is in fact missing?
I wouldn't call the police station. I called the provincial commissioner. And that was the next day. I said to him, General Patikile, I've been told my dockets have been taken. And I was told that we will look into it. Which to me, the response just wasn't urgent enough.
Can I just understand why you say it wasn't urgent enough? You opened this case the day before, the 29th. You get told that same day that your docket is missing from somebody who's not actually stationed at that station. You call the provincial commissioner the next day. You're not happy with what response? When was he supposed to come back to you? Where's the absence of urgency you're not happy with?
Considering the fact, Advocate, that we are faced, the community I live in, that I serve in, we are faced with the sickness of dockets disappearing. And it's generally just something you hear about. And now this is my own experience. And the information that I had could implicate seniors in SAPS. I was expecting the general to say, come to my office, or meet me at the police station, or meet me at the police station tomorrow. That was the response I was half expecting or hoping for rather. And then I didn't get that. Now, I don't know, people that know me say I should have rollerblades because I want everything done now, and sometimes unfairly. But in this instance, I did not think it was unfair to expect a swifter response.
Can I just get clarity on something? Sorry. When you first found out that the dockets are missing, did you go to the police station and verify that for yourself?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ask the investigating officer, I'm hearing rumors that my docket is missing?
No investigating officer had been assigned at the time, sir.
So you were not given particulars of any policeman?
None, sir.
Including the one that you spoke to?
None, Commissioner.
So, but the long and short of it is you never asked the police station whether your dockets are missing or not?
No, Commissioner, I did not.
You concluded that whoever told you that they have been intercepted is telling the truth?
I took the word of a really good man, sir.
Who's not here to tell us whether or not he told you that.
I see where you're going, Advocate, and if there's one thing that I'm familiar with is death. Unfortunately, he's not here.
Well, let's just understand what then happens. When you speak to General Patikile, do you tell him that General Lincoln told you that the dockets have gone missing?
May I? No.
Why not?
I don't want to compromise General Lincoln at the time because he's an important source of information for me. All the time. All the time.
But if he's the source of information of what you consider later on, which you describe as a cover-up, why not say to him, I got this information from General Lincoln? It's credible. It's not as if I'm thumb-sucking this, because obviously as a member of the public, you wouldn't ordinarily know that. Somebody would have to tell you that your docket has gone missing.
No, you are 100% right in that regard, but the short answer is if I had to give people away, if I had to give Andre Lincoln away, chances are we'd never get information from within the SAPS again. I wasn't going to take that chance.
Sorry, what do you say? You don't tell General Patikile that your source is someone as reliable as General Lincoln. So you don't tell him who. No. What is wrong with General Patikile saying to you, let me investigate? Because that's the answer he gives you. Why is that not good enough?
If I can make you understand, Commissioner Baloy, how few policemen we really trust. There's a reason why I was guarded about my approach to General Patikile and also the source of that specific information.
But if trust is an issue, why are you even speaking to him? Why didn't you just get onto a flight, as you finally did, a day or two later? Why don't you get into a flight and go to Orlando to lay your charge? Because you have trust issues. What's the point?
He's the provincial commissioner.
Exactly my question. What is wrong? You speak to the provincial commissioner, as I would expect. I don't fault you if that's what you did. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. What I don't understand I don't hear from what you have said so far is on the very next day after you laid a complaint, he says to you, let me investigate. What is so fundamentally wrong in that response from a provincial? Absolutely, I'm assuming you would accept that he doesn't have any knowledge of you assume that at least, yeah, he has no knowledge of this. So what is so fundamentally wrong when he says, let me investigate, that makes you say, I have trust issues and therefore I went to a different province and police station?
There was actually nothing fundamentally wrong in what he said, Commissioner. Like I said, I just thought I'd get more urgency out of it. If there was something fundamentally wrong in what he said, I would have written him an email or the minister an email. I would have complained because this to me was a serious issue. I just seriously expected just a little bit more urgency, considering who we're dealing with. Now, I understand 100% where this is going. I see the time on this thing and it actually makes me wonder what's going on here. 8:05. I knew before then. So I don't understand that part. But what I can confirm is the dockets were taken.
And General Lincoln at the time wasn't in active service, right?
No, ma'am. He had lost both his legs and movement for him was a little bit restrictive.
He had retired in 2021 already.
Wasn't it earlier than that, perhaps?
Yes.
I think it was earlier than 2021, I think.
Okay. So you were getting this information from somebody who was not within the police force?
Most of our information about what's going on comes from outside of the police force. I'll give you a very short example. You can actually make contact with Brigadier Kas Gulam. I once called him on a Sunday morning. It was the most impressive police service I've ever received. He's also retired now. And I called him, I said, Brigadier, I got news for you. I said, in Atlantis, at this address, in that yard, right on that spot, you're going to find 1,000 Mandrax tablets and a firearm.
Yes.
But that information came from outside of the SAPS as well.
Yes, but this is different. You are relying on the information now of a retired cop who had been in retirement since 2021. We are now in 2024. You don't make any follow-up with the station itself to find out whether the information that you're receiving from somebody who's not in active service is in fact correct, because it's not an official position that he's communicating. He can't. He's not a police officer in service at the time.
Like I'm trying to communicate to you, advocate, most of our information comes from people who aren't in the system. Andre Lincoln knew everyone. He knew every policeman. He knew every gangster. He was reliable. If Andre Lincoln had to tell me to duck, I would have dived to the floor. I had that much faith in that man. And I really wish he was here today.
Yeah, but in this instance he was wrong because the docket wasn't missing.
Before I admit that Andre Lincoln was wrong, I would question if these entries here are not made later. Ultimately, the docket went missing. Whatever you and I go back and forth here, those dockets were found in Pretoria, in Peter Jacobs' safe. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything, but it would not surprise me if these entries were made later to try and cover somebody.
When were they found in General Jacobs' safe?
I heard that in the ad hoc committee. I can't tell you what date that was. Lieutenant General Sentimule confirmed that the dockets were in Lieutenant General Peter Jacobs' safe.
But it was after the process where there was a complaint that was lodged and it was investigated. That is why the dockets were assembled, because there was a complaint lodged either by you or on your behalf that the dockets had gone missing. Wasn't that the case? Isn't that why he was in possession of the dockets at that point?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That is impossible. Peter Jacobs is the head of the service directorate. I had laid a criminal complaint, not a service delivery one. These dockets, I understand your confusion. Maybe I'm the one confused. These dockets, even if I had to lay a complaint and they were at the station, should have stayed at the station. They couldn't have moved. The first person that had to be assigned these dockets in court, in the chain of custody, was the head of detectives. He's supposed to assign it to an investigator.
That it's within the Western Cape.
Yes, within the Western Cape, I'm sorry. In May 2019, the Human Rights Commission made a finding that over 1,000 colored people's CVs was disposed of by the Department of Labor. I refer to Annexure F8820. And I want to give you just a little bit of context. There were 48 client services advisors available in the Department of Labor, which is the custodian of the Employment Equity Act. And I was at the Department of Labor on one day, where the boxes of CVs, where the CVs were laying on the ground because there were no more places. And when the department announced who was receiving the jobs, not a single colored person in all of the Western Cape received a single job. We protested against this. Mawela Mutambo refused to meet with us because we wanted clarity. Why are our children not good enough? I had to go on hunger strike in front of the doors of the Department of Labor. It's the only weapon that I had. I closed that place, Commissioner. I closed that place physically with a chain and a lock. And I said, you can go and lay charges if you want to. If we don't work, nobody works. I went on a hunger strike for 4 days. And then Reverend Chris Nissen from the Human Rights Department Commission got involved, and he issued that report which confirms that our children's CVs were thrown away. Every color that applied, his CV was thrown away. Now, I refer to the 2016 Human Rights Commission made a determination that colored people had suffered the brunt of skewed BEE and affirmative action policies. That is not me saying it. It is the Human Rights Commission. So I want to explain to you, Commissioner, if you give me a minute, that all those shooters on the Cape Flats and all those kids that are dying and all those young drug peddlers, they were once children with dreams, children with CVs, and they've given up. Because they've seen their uncles and their fathers walk, beg for jobs and not getting it just because they are colored. And if you can't have the conversation about gang violence without having the conversation of a lack of opportunity. And those opportunities are denied to our children. And I've lost friends and nephews and family and loved ones because of this discrimination. And I feel that this commission must look into that. And even if I have to threaten Justice Madlanga today, I will. But we need to look into that. Was not. We need to look into this, Justice, because it's the only way we're going to stop the killing.
Page 63.
The Sindiso Magaka matter. You know, the killer of Sindiso Magaka, he lies in prison. He's been begging for more than 2 years to make a full confession. I've attached his affidavit. The killer is a Mr. Ngengwa. And he asked that the commission notes that the weapon and the vehicles used to assassinate a crime fighter were supplied by crime intelligence. The killer also confirms under oath that he was escorted to and from the scene of the murder of one of our finest by police. According to our generals, our hero generals, this matter is still under investigation. I wish to remind this commission that Sindiso was killed in 2017. It is now 2026. I asked that this commission remembers that Sindiso Magaka was killed in 2017 and the implicated policeman